Can I first of all congratulate the Honourable Member for Yeovil for securing this debate via the Backbench Business Committee. I was pleased to be able to support it. I think it's incumbent on all members to, with their first remarks, to thank the contribution of our armed forces, who do a heroic job all year round keeping us safe and defending those of our citizens and our allies. As a son of a submariner, I know from my own experience how important the armed forces are, not only for my family, the money that brought in to help us when I was growing up, but also how important it is to Plymouth, which is the area that I'd like to restrict my remarks to in terms of the upcoming defence review. Members will know that since the election in June, I've spoke, mainly in this place here, about the paucity of our shipbuilding strategy that's been announced, the offshoring of our RFA builds that should have been done in UK shipyards, the lack of detail on our Type 31 armaments. So my concern is that we're going to have a lightly armed fishing patrol vessel rather than a fully capable frigate. The loss of HMS Ocean, in particular, its particular capability of having helicopter carrier capability in littoral waters close to the coast, and then about wages of veterans and the need to invest more in our frigates and escort carrier fleet. I think there was an awful lot of support for a lot of those from both sides of the House, and I'm grateful for those members that have given me encouragement to continue from both sides, my own party and others. The concern that I have about the upcoming review is about the potential for hollowing out capabilities, in particular around the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines. Now, Devonport, in the constituency that I represent, is home not only to half our frigate fleet, but also the deep maintenance facility for frigates and submarines and our amphibious assault ships. Now, we already know that HMS Ocean is due to be scrapped, creating a capability gap in helicopter carrier capacity in littoral waters. But the rumours and speculation that HMS Bulwark and HMS Albion, two world-class capable amphibious assault ships, are also facing the axe is deeply concerning to those people that have an interest in not only Devonport, Plymouth, but our national security. And that's where I want to just focus for a moment. Having assured access capabilities and having the ability to project and force and deter our enemies via those amphibious assault ships is absolutely a key component of us having a full spectrum capability as a Royal Navy. I'm very concerned that as we have the precedent of HMS Ocean, one of our 3 amphibious assault ships, being cut, that means that we could further erode or scrap altogether our amphibious capabilities. Tying up either Albion or Bulwark alongside in Devonport has reduced our capability in that respect, and that is deeply concerning. Once the amphibious capabilities have been removed, then there is a logical step forward threat to the Royal Marines. And I know from the speculation that was in the media recently that up to 1,000 Royal Marines are also potentially facing the axe. I think we need to be really clear that the amphibious capabilities provided by the Royal Navy and the specialist forces in the Royal Marines is absolutely essential. I give the word to the Minister.
I'm grateful for the Honourable Gentleman give way, and I pay credit to the detail that he's espousing what is going on in Plymouth. But I should make it clear, because I fear that other honourable members will also pick up speculation of what may or may not be happening in the review, which I hope to elaborate on, Mr. Bone. But I make it clear that no decisions have absolutely been made at all. So please, I know honourable members will want to get it off their chest, will want to share those concerns, but no decisions have been made about any of those ships that he's mentioned so far. And any decisions to be made are quite some distance off.
I'm grateful for the Minister for that. I would invite the Minister to take the opportunity to rule out cuts to our amphibious forces in that respect, because I think the direction from... I think it is entirely possible for government ministers to set a strategy and set a direction that says we preserve our amphibious assault capabilities as a country, and that the upcoming defence capability review should be able to match that, to be honest. My concern about what's happening with our amphibious assault ships is matched by the concern of many other people in Plymouth as to the experience we've seen over the last couple of years, not only with the potential, or with the actual closures of Stonehouse Barracks, the cut to Royal Marines from 4-2 Commando, the loss of the Royal Citadel, and also the loss of HMS Ocean. No decisions have yet been made about the future basing arrangements of the Royal Marines. And I would invite the Minister, perhaps in his wrap-up, to talk about when a decision will be made, because my concern is that Royal Marines, if there is no amphibious assault capability in Devonport, could be moved out of the city, and that is deeply concerning to me and to those people that have served, especially based near the spiritual home of the Royal Marines at Stonehouse Barracks. I would just like to say to the Minister that Albion and Bulwark are two incredibly capable, world-class ships. They're due to be out of service in 2033 and 2034. So there's still a lot of life left in them at the moment. It's really important, I think, also that we look at the context for where this defence review is being carried out, because lacking the normal detail that comes with a strategic defence and security view, my concern is that this mini-review will simply look at cuts rather than the upcoming threats that we face as a country. And in particular, I'm concerned about the rise of Russia, its influence in particular in the Arctic, where our amphibious assault ships and our Royal Navy have been so good at deterring Russian aggression or Russian possession of Arctic waters for quite some time and needs to be looked at. I'm also concerned about the 2% of defence spending, a line that I hear ministers talk about a lot. The Minister will know that the gaining of the 2% figure by including war pensions produces a situation where we're not spending 2% on defence. I would welcome the Minister adopting Labour's position of removing those gained elements and spending an actual 2% on defence. And I'm sure that would be a sentiment echoed by members throughout the House in this respect here. So I'd be grateful if the Minister, in reviewing the debate in his wind-up, could rule out cuts to our amphibious force along the way. Explain briefly how the capability review will add to a greater number of frigates and, importantly, more capable frigates with a decent offensive and defensive armament package on the Type 31s in particular, and address what this means in the context of post-Brexit Britain. Because the ability of the UK to have a strong and robust full-spectrum capability is absolutely vital in us projecting our power and us having a distinctive beacon status as a nation after Brexit, and fulfilling our obligation to our NATO allies, in particular as Russia flexes its muscles, not only in the cyberspace but also in the military space as well with its near neighbours. So I'd be grateful if the Minister could address those points when it comes to running. Yeah, sure.
I would just invite my honourable friend to just clear up to me. He talks a lot about cuts in the military, and he knows my position on this, and this is something I've personally advocated on for a long time. This debate must be in the realms of honesty, and since 2016, April 2016, to be precise, the money to defence is increasing. Okay, and it is at 2%. It is going up by £500 million every year. I just don't understand how that fits in with this narrative of cuts all the time. Surely our defences should be done around what the threat is and the capability of this constant narrative of doing down our armed forces.
Well, I'm grateful for the intervention. It gives me the opportunity to direct the House's attention to, I believe, the honourable member's comments about the gaining of the 2% that appeared in the media recently. I think it is important that this is based on capabilities, and that's why I've been very clear in my remarks to base it on capabilities. I think it is important that as we approach this latest round of defence cuts, and forgive me, but in Plymouth we've seen the loss of HMS. I'm happy to give away.
If it was of use to him, he might apply to the Ministry of Defence for a very useful fact sheet that they have provided me, which states very clearly that as of 2016, our defence budget was 34.3 billion, but by 2020 and 2021, it will be 39.7 billion. So how is that a cut? Maths.
Well, I'm grateful for that intervention. I would invite the honourable member to visit Plymouth, where I can show him Stonehouse Barracks shortly to be closed, the Royal Citadel shortly to be closed, and HMS Ocean shortly to be scrapped. The key point that I was making in my remarks, which I'll repeat happily so it wasn't missed, is about the capabilities of our Royal Navy and our Royal Marines. And it's on the capabilities that we need to preserve the world-class excellence that we have. I'm very grateful and thankful to the people that serve in our armed forces. I know many of myself and my family members have served in that area as well, and so I'm very cautious about how I talk about this. One thing I have asked for, both in Plymouth and nationally, is cross-party working to make a robust case to the government to oppose any cuts to our amphibious assault ships in the future. Now, I know that there is laughing in respect to this, but let me just say, in a few months' time, I do not expect the Ministry of Defence, the Government or the Royal Navy to be announcing any loss of our amphibious assault ships based on the interventions that I've just taken. I would like to implore the Minister to cement and celebrate the world-class contribution that HMS Albion, HMS Bulwark and the Royal Marines make to the United Kingdom's amphibious assault capabilities, protect them in the capability review that's coming up, and I would be grateful if the Minister could address the concerns that I raised around the Type 31 frigate in particular. Thank you.